Browns holding day 2 of minicamp here in Berea, and we heard from Deshaun Watson today, Mary Kay, and I think the thing that stood out most from what he had to say is when he was asked about the playbook and the offense, he used 2 words: everything's new. And then I know you followed up with him to kind of go a little deeper into that, but I thought that was very interesting the way he described it.
Yeah, he said it with a big smile on his face. He's very, very excited about this. They have tailored the offense to Deshaun Watson. He says Kevin came up with it and AVP came up with it. He didn't attribute any of it to Bill O'Brien, his former Houston coach, but Deshaun has also had a ton of input in this himself, which is good because you know that Kevin Stefanski wants to do what's going to make Deshaun Watson look good. So everything is new is the buzz phrase this week.
Yeah, and Ashley, I don't know that we've really been able to get a sense of that so far in practice, but it's just very interesting to think about what this offense could look like with Deshaun Watson, his running ability, all those weapons at receiver and tight end. It's not super surprising, but it was interesting to hear him admit it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like last year when Deshaun misses those first 11 games. Like, you can't do everything with Jacoby Brissett that you're going to do with Deshaun Watson. And then once Deshaun Watson comes back, it's only 6 games, so you don't have time to totally overhaul the offense. Deshaun was rusty on top of it. So really, this is like our first time that we're going to get to see this look at full speed. And I imagine how it looks this year is how they would have wanted it to look last year in those final 6 games in a perfect world.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing to keep in mind is, and I asked David Njoku about this, and other guys have talked about it too, like, they went into last year not even knowing when they were going to get Deshaun Watson back. And I think that's a big piece, Mary Kay, of why this is so different.
Yeah, and it's why Deshaun Watson looks so comfortable, looks so happy. Of course, he still has some outstanding legal issues. He has 1 trial pending that could end up on the docket anytime soon, but he doesn't even know when that might happen. But aside from that, he's just a different quarterback than the one we saw last year. He knows his teammates. He knows the playbook, although it's new. He knows his coaches. He knows that he's going to be here for 17 games. He's just got a whole different demeanor.
Yeah, Ashley, you can sense the excitement when you hear guys talk.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him today about last week during OTAs. He made that deep throw to Marquise Goodwin in 7-on-7s, and it got a lot of steam on social media because he did his arrow celebration, which was a big thing he used to do in Houston. Like, it's little things like that to me that just kind of show, like, it's one thing for him to say he's more comfortable, but I think when you're watching him out there, you're seeing that comfortability in action.
Now, we heard from Nick Chubb today, and he talked about Jim Brown, and of course, Mary Kay, when you see things with Nick Chubb, you always hear this. He's the first Browns running back since, and of course, he's always going to be tied to Jim Brown. Joel Bitonio said that sometimes he watches old Jim Brown clips, and it looks like Nick Chubb was transported back in time. Nick obviously had a lot of good things to say about Jim and kind of what he meant to him.
Yes, he really did. And Joel Bitonio revealed to us today that Kevin Stefanski showed a Jim Brown video today, and it's, he just said it just reminds him of Nick Chubb, their running styles and the way they handle themselves. And Nick was really good on Jim today and just how much he meant to him and the impact that he had to be able to follow in the footsteps of such a great running back, arguably the greatest of all time.
And with Joel, he had that line that I think so many people have had the first time you meet Jim Brown. It's like, that's Jim Brown. It really stands out to these guys. Now, it wasn't all Jim Brown with Joel Bitonio. Ashley, he had some thoughts on the Greenbrier as well, which is where the Browns will open training camp.
Yeah, I was joking. It's like Joel had a tight 5, like a stand-up comedian prepared about the Greenbrier. He made a joke of, well, I wish we got to golf the whole time we were there and that we were only going for 3 days and having to be apart from his wife and his family. So, I mean, it's definitely interesting, right? But it is another part of this kind of different preseason for these guys with them playing in the Hall of Fame game training camp, starting a week earlier, going out there and getting a change of scenery. And, Deshaun Watson had been to the Greenbrier in the past with the Texans, and he also talked about, it's about camaraderie. And I think we've seen Deshaun and this team kind of, again, try to emphasize that last year and this year. So now it's about trying to make sure that actually means something when we get to September and the season starts.
Yeah, Mary Kay, I guess Joel could have stood there with a mic stand and just been like, what's the deal with the Greenbrier? He was ready to go.
Yeah, he even said that he's heard that it's haunted. So yeah, he was pretty funny about the Greenbrier, and we will all be heading down there. That will be the next thing that happens for all of us after this mini camp is over tomorrow. So there are some mixed reviews from guys so far about having to go down there, but I think once they get there, they will be happy they did.
All right, of course we'll have full coverage of that, but before we even get to that, there's still so much to do covering the Browns, and you can find all of it at cleveland.com/Browns.